Robert Emerson Lucas Jr. is an American economist at the University of Chicago, widely regarded as the central figure in the development of the new classical approach to macroeconomics. He received the Nobel Prize in economics in 1995. He has been characterized by N. Gregory Mankiw as the most influential macroeconomist of the last quarter of the 20th century. Biography. Lucas was born in 1937 in Yakima, Washington, and was the oldest child of Robert Emerson Lucas and Jane Templeton Lucas. He received his B.A. in history in 1959 and Ph.D. in economics in 1964, both from the University of Chicago. His dissertation, Substitution Between Labor and Capital in U.S. Manufacturing 1929 to 1958, was written under supervision of Arnold Harberger and H. Greg Lewis. Lucas studied economics for his Ph.D. on quasi-Marxist grounds. He believed that economics was the true driver of history, and so he planned to immerse himself fully in economics and then return to the history department. Following his graduation, Lucas taught at the Graduate School of Industrial Administration at Carnegie Mellon University until 1975, when he returned to the University of Chicago. After his divorce with Rita Lucas, he married Nancy Stokey. They have collaborated in papers on growth theory, public finance, and monetary theory. Lucas has two sons, Stephen Lucas and Joseph Lucas. A collection of his papers are housed at the Rubenstein Library at Duke University. Contributions. Rational expectations. Lucas is well known for his investigations into the implications of the assumption of rational expectations. Lucas incorporates the idea of rational expectations into a dynamic general equilibrium model. The agents in Lucas's model are rational. Based on the available information, they form expectations about future prices and quantities, and based on these expectations they act to maximize their expected lifetime utility. He also provided sound theory fundamental to Milton Friedman and Edmund Phelps's view of the long-run neutrality of money, and provide an explanation of the correlation between output and inflation, depicted by the Phillips curve. Lucas critique. Lucas challenged the foundations of macroeconomic theory, arguing that a macroeconomic model should be built as an aggregated version of microeconomic models. He developed the Lucas critique of economic policy making, which holds that relationships that appear to hold in the economy, such as an apparent relationship between inflation and unemployment, could change in response to changes in economic policy. This led to the development of new classical macroeconomics and the drive towards microeconomic foundations for macroeconomic theory. Other contributions. Lucas developed a theory of supply that suggests people can be tricked by unsystematic monetary policy, the Ursula-Lucas model of human capital accumulation, and the Lucas paradox, which considers why more capital does not flow from developed countries to developing countries. Lucas is a seminal contribution in the economic development and growth literature. Lucas and Paul Romer heralded the birth of endogenous growth theory and the resurgence of research on economic growth in the late 1980s and the 1990s. He also contributed foundational contributions to behavioral economics, and provided the intellectual foundation for the understanding of deviations from the law of one price based on the irrationality of investors. In 2003, he stated, about 5 years before the Great Recession, that the central problem of depression prevention has been solved, for all practical purposes, and has in fact been solved for many decades. Bibliography. Lucas, Robert. Expectations and the Neutrality of Money. Journal of Economic Theory. 4, 103-24. DOI 10.101600220531901421. Lucas, Robert. Econometric Policy Evaluation, A Critique. Carnegie Rochester Conference Series on Public Policy, 119-46. DOI 10.1016S01672231800036. Lucas, Robert. On the Mechanics of Economic Development. Journal of Monetary Economics. 22, 3-42. DOI 10.101603043932901687. Lucas, Robert. Why doesn't capital flow from rich to poor countries? American Economic Review, 80-92-96. JSDOR 2006549. Lucas, Robert. Studies in Business Cycle Theory. MIT Press. ISBN 0-262-6204448. Lucas, Robert. Monetary Neutrality Prize Lecture 1995 Nobel Prize in Economics, December 7, 1995. Stokey, Nancy, Robert Lucas, and Edward Prescott, Recursive Methods in Economic Dynamics. Harvard University Press, ISBN 0-674-75096-9. Lucas, Robert E. Jr. The History and Future of Economic Growth, The 4% Solution, Unleashing the Economic Growth America Needs, edited by Brendan Miniter. New York, Crown Business, 2012.